WWRR, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, WMMZ, Berwick, Bloomsburg, Hazleton, WYCK, Plains.
Powered by Mohegan Sun Poano.
The River, 105 and 103.5.
This is Music on the Menu on the River.
Timothy, where on earth did you go?
Featuring Northeast PA's best artists.
Maybe, never mind. She can move me like the stereo, like a song on the radio. She's an angel in the morning, yeah, that's right.
And now, here's your host, Alan K. Stout.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
All right, everybody, happy Sunday night. Welcome to Music on the Menu on the River. Alan K. Stout with, as I always am, Sunday nights, 9 to 10 o'clock, bringing you regional artists doing their own original material from right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Hanging out with D.C. Taylor, as I always am. D.C., good to see you, brother.
How's it going, Alan?
I'm doing just fine, just fine.
All right.
We've got a special guest here in the studio with us tonight. He was with us here maybe about a year and a half ago for a little bit when he kicked off his wonderful music venue in downtown Wilkes-Barre, Carl Hall. AJ Jump hanging out with us here tonight.
How's it going, Alan?
Good to see you, my friend. The reason AJ is here tonight is because as probably a couple thousand people, it seemed, saw on social media or in the newspaper a couple days ago, we announced a benefit show that's going to take place at the Woodlands on April 11th. It's called Banding Together for BRET. It's a benefit show for our friend BRET Alexander, who is, really one of the most respected and beloved musicians to ever come from northeastern Pennsylvania. And I thought, well, let's, we've got a couple months to talk about it and promote it, and that's what we're going to do. Trust me. But since we did announce the show this week, and a lot of people are chatting about it right now, I thought, let's spend tonight's show talking about the benefit. So AJ, BRET Alexander, a former member of the Badleys, Gentleman East, owner and operator of Saturation Acre Studio. We started putting this event together, about less than 3 weeks ago, and we were able to announce a killer lineup at a great venue with some great sponsors, within 2 weeks. I say that's a tribute to BRET, absolutely, and his impact on this community with music and particularly with musicians. As a musician yourself, a great drummer who's worked with BRET 100 times, what does he mean to you?
I mean, BRET, and I've said this many, many times, he's basically, everyone in their career, in some way, shape, or form could cite having a mentor and having sort of like a brother-like or father-like figure. Brett's kind of like my younger uncle or my older brother in that regard, and a mentor in this business. And he brought me up in the reins, in the studio world when he first started to ask me to play on sessions a little over 10 years ago, and I didn't, I had barely recorded a couple albums at that time, and then when I got in that world, and we kind of became a team, and it was just amazing. I learned so much about the business, so much about recording, so much about dealing with the artist and the client, so to speak. But I mean, BRET means everything to me. He's as close to a family member without being a family member of anyone in my life.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have a special relationship with him, and just to tell the audience, when we start talking about putting this benefit together 2.5 weeks ago, we had one brief meeting one night at Tony's Wine Cellar where BRET plays every Wednesday with Eddie Apnell and a few of the folks that were there, Linda Alpha and Kim Rosenthal, and AJ called me the next day. He said, "Hey, I heard you're working on something. I want to help." It's like, yeah, absolutely. And you've been like the lightning behind this thing. I mean, you've really helped galvanize it and get it rolling and help putting it the roster. And AJ and I spent a lot of time on the phone the last couple of weeks, and I just, on behalf of the whole community and the scene, AJ, I want to thank you for your efforts on this. I mean, I know it's important to you.
needed to be done, and you know, when our fellow brethren or sisterin needs our help, we need to help. We need to help. I mean, we're a small community to begin with, and you know, we're a C market with a big heart, and you know, this area, I've lived all around the country, and I always say that some of the best musicians I've ever played with ever have been from this area, and one of them is 100% Brett Alexander. And you know, this is what we need to do. We need to do for him. We need to come together for this and help him out, because he's helped so many people.
Let's play one of his tunes right now. It's his Drive Back Home.
Took a ride up through the mountains to the edge of my hometown. Made me feel just like an angel looking down. All the places I remember, all the people still the same. All the things I ran away from that remain, me. All my life is like a drive back home. Can't you hear me singing? Can't you hear me singing? All my life is like a drive back home. And I know why. Leaves were falling in the graveyard where my grandmother's body lies. And I swear I heard her sing as she cried, cried. All my life is like a drive back home. Can't you hear me singing? Can't you hear me singing? All my life is like a drive back home. And I know why. There ain't nowhere that you can run to. There ain't nowhere that you can go. There ain't nowhere that you can run to. There ain't nowhere that you can go. They say that nothing lasts forever. They say that all will be in vain. But I say that struggle is the thunder. Love is rain, rain, rain. And there may not be forgiveness for all the things I've done, but I'm still my mother's child, my father's son, son. All my life is like a drive back home. Can't you hear me singing? Can't you hear me singing? All my life is like a drive back home. And I know why.
this is Aaron Fink, and you're listening to Music on the Menu with Alan K. Stout. This is The River.
Just to stay alive and lie a little to your God. I know it's nothing new for you. Falling in and out of love, now there's nowhere left to run, so burn it all down to the ground to begin all again. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? All the bridges that you burn along the way. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? Or is it blinding to be standing on the sun? If there's room up there for me, lift me to your sky. Let me break down your facade to hear something true from you. Falling in and out of love, now there's nowhere left to run, so burn it all down to the ground to begin all again. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? All the bridges that you burn along the way. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? Or is it blinding to be standing on the sun? 'Cause I walked high, yeah. 'Cause I kinda like the view below. And I crawl through fire just to get inside of you. You took me higher than I ever been before. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? And all the bridges that you burn along the way. Why can't you see what's right in front of you? Or is it blinding to be standing on the sun? Why can't you sing a different kind of song? Is it deafening to hear the one for you? Why can't you turn the page and just move on? Or is it blinding to be standing on the sun?
Aaron Fink here on Music on the Menu on the River, song called Standing on the Sun. Before that, the Badleys with Brett Alexander. He wrote it and sang it. A song called Drive Back Home. We're talking about banding together for Brett. We got some time on this, folks. You got about 7 weeks to get this thing on your radar and make sure you're there on April 11th at the Woodlands. Very rare to do a benefit show on a weekend with big bands because, traditionally you don't even want to ask them because that's usually when they're playing. And, when we were kicking this idea around, AJ said to me, we could do it on a Saturday. I'm like, you think so? I don't know. He goes, absolutely. They'll do it for Brett. And he was right. And so this is a Saturday night benefit. So, you could come out and have a good time. And it's not going to be rushing from work or early next morning. And we really did get a great lineup together. AJ, you want to tell everybody who we've got confirmed so far with the show?
Absolutely. Well, we have reunions of the Mere Mortals, Underground Saints, original Grace's Downfall lineup. Also, we're going to have Aaron Fink, Dustin Douglas and the Electric Gentlemen, Joe Burke and Co., Tim and Rob Husty, the Husty Brothers, the Boastfuls, great young band out of Scranton, Ed Rendazzo, Tom Flannery, Joe Segan, Tony Halchek, Ellie Rose, great young female artist, Jeremy Hummel, former Breaking Benjamin drummer, Nike Van Wyk, great violinist, played with the Badleys towards the end there, and Kate, who's one of my favorite female artists from the area. Also, we'll feature an all-star musical tribute to Bret's music. Ron Tomasic, drummer of the Badleys, Paul Smith, bass player of the Badleys, and current members of Gentleman East. They'll lead the pack in that one, and that's going to be really special. We're going to have a couple different singers come up and sing different Brett tunes.
And the thing that we're hoping, obviously, Brett's scheduled to have this surgery. We mentioned it on the air on, I guess it was on Thursday when AJ was on. We announced the show during drive time during DC show. But for those who may have missed that, Brett has a donor for the kidney. He needs a transplant. He has a degenerative condition. He's known for years that this day was coming, and now it's time. And so that's a huge hurdle when someone is in that situation. And so a cousin of his is donating the kidney. And so, but it's a major operation. It's an organ transplant. And so, he's going to be laid up for a while, and, thus the reason for the benefit. But we are hoping that he could be there. And AJ we think he probably will be able to be there because he'll have, 5 or 6 weeks of recovery time by then. And the part that AJ was just talking about at the end of the show, the end of the night, the tribute to Brett, I almost kind of imagine it. AJ, we're talking about on the phone here, like a Kennedy Honors type thing, where maybe he could just kind of sit there or stand there and hear these other musicians that love his music play his own songs.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that, a lot.
Same here.
That's going to be a really nice part of the night. And if you're a Brett fan, a Badleys fan, that's something you don't want to miss. One of the cool parts about the night too are some of the bands that have not played together in a while that have agreed to do so. And we're going to play 2 of them for you right now. The first is AJ's old band, Underground Saints. Did some great stuff in the mid-2000s. Made a couple of great records. We still play them here on the show all the time. We'll follow that up with Mere Mortals, who were really one of the bigger bands in the mid-90s locally and had actually done a lot of shows opening and sharing gigs with the Badleys. So you can see how this community is coming together for the show. Check it out. Underground Saints, Mere Mortals.
Follow you so long.
Eddie Apnell, and you're listening to Music on the Menu on The River.
Well, it's not in the name, and it's not in the face you see. Just part of this game, just part of my misery. I bought a ticket for the real thing, and how was I to know where it would lead me? This lonely rain seems never ending. All I know is when she cries, I bleed. It's all so unreal. Maybe something Lennon used to feel. It's far too unreal. There's nothing better left for me to steal. Was I moving too fast? Was it all a mistake? Did I treat her like glass? Did I hope she would break? Did I hope she would break these walls I'm building? How am I to know she still needs me? This lonely rain just keeps on falling down. She's trying again, you know, when she cries, bleed. It's all so unreal. Maybe something Lennon used to feel. Maybe something living used to feel. Football to a Rio. Nothing better left for me to steal.
Mere Mortals here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Unreal. And before that, Underground Saints with a song called Plastic Scenes. Both those groups will be reuniting for the Banding Together for BRET event at the Woodlands on April 11th. You know, AJ was talking, AJ Jump's hanging out with us here tonight from Carl Hall, great musical venue in downtown Wilkes-Barre where pretty much strictly focuses on original music and giving bands the opportunity to play their own material to a receptive, music-oriented audience. And, you know, it's a great thing that I've been there quite a few times over the last year and a half for some of the shows. There, opening night, I was there for your Christmas event. I was there for Aaron Fink's show. Always have a good time hanging out at Carl Hall. My experiences with BRET go back 28 years. I saw the Badleys in 1992. They blew me away. I was just starting to write for the newspaper around that time. And I wound up writing probably more than 40 stories about the band over the years and doing radio specials and television specials and getting to know BRET as a friend and a person. And I realized right away when I was doing those articles that it was kind of his band. You know, I mean, he wasn't the lead singer of the band, but he was the principal songwriter of the band. And the band is all about the songs. And so I started interviewing BRET for my stories right away. Probably by 94 or 5, I was doing interviews with BRET to talk about the Badleys. And because that's what interests me. Where are these songs coming from? And the more you got to know him as an artist, you know, I mean, one of my favorite experiences with BRET was in Bearsville in 97 when they were recording up there down here. The paper sent me up there for a couple of days to write about the recording of the album. Amazing studio, the Catskills, you know, Dylan and everybody had been there. Dave Matthews had just done some great stuff there.
Fish was recording Story of the Ghost while they were there
at that
recording.
time. Yeah, we stayed in Robbie Robertson's cottage.
Nice.
You know, I mean, but all the guys are gone, and you know they're going to bed, and BRET and I are still sitting up in the studio one night, probably 1-2 o'clock in the morning, listening to some of the tracks and just talking about music. And it's really one of my favorite experiences I've ever had. You know, as a journalist, you know, talking to him in Bearsville, making a major label record with some of those songs, you know, Running Up That Hill and Thinking in Ways and Don't Let Me Hide and Luther's Windows, and just, you know, magnificent work being done. So, and that's just my story. I mean, everybody on this bill has a story about a relationship with him and a time in the studio or a gig with him. The musicians are who I think have connected with him the most.
Yeah.
You agree with that, AJ?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. He's many of us out there that have a BRET story, that's for sure.
Or stories.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have. So, yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, we could go on and on. I mean, BRET and I went to some shows together. We went to see Bruce Springsteen together.
I saw The Who with him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I saw you too with Bruce. I mean, you know, he gets out there, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's fun to go and see some of these great artists of all time with someone like him, because the ride home in the car is fun. You're talking about the show.
Yeah.
You know, so we all love him. This is one of the guys that's going to be there that night too on April 11th. This is Tim Husty. Who's to blame?
Not
this is Dustin Douglas from Dustin Douglas and the Electric Gentleman, and you're listening to Music on the Menu with Alan K. Stout on the grid.
Have you ever woke up in a daydream? Can a daydream be the real thing? Maybe our life is out of a daydream, and you are not the queen to my king. Maybe I'm out of my head. Well, I'll just go back to daylight, black skies and starlight, trapped in an old-time daydream. It's a daydream. Forget what was spoken, all will be broken. Daydream. It's a daydream. Well, hello, my name is Mr. Durden. Am I really alive in a way? Well, I am sorry about you heard it. Is this daydream all a mistake? Maybe I'm out of my head. Well, I'll just get out of bed. Black skies and starlight, strapped in an old-time daydream. It's a daydream. Forget what was spoken, all will be broken. Daydream. It's a daydream. Is this really all a dream? Well, hey, Mr. Sandman, grab me by the head. Well, don't ever leave me. Stuck in a daydream. Black skies and starlight, trapped in an old-time daydream. It's a daydream. Forget what was spoken, all will be broken. Daydream. It's a daydream. Black skies and starlight, trapped in an old-time
Dustin Douglas here on Music on the Menu on the Rib with a song called Daydream. And before that, Tim Husty with a song called Who's to Blame. So many of these artists have recorded at Brett Alexander's studio, Saturation Acres. And, that was, kind of one of the interesting things about putting this bill together is finding some of those artists that have done great work there over the years, asking them if they wanted to play. And them all saying yes within about 30 seconds, So,
Yeah.
But we got a band coming in that is one of the up-and-coming bands in northeastern Pennsylvania. We've been playing their new tune, Tequila, here on the show for about a month now. AJ's done some work with them, and we're excited about having some young blood on the show as well. Talk to us a little bit about the Boastfuls, AJ.
Yeah, they're a great young band. A couple of guys up there at Marywood University. Marty, the guitar player, I had the pleasure of doing radio show up there at college radio in Marywood, and he was the engineer on the session, and that's how I met him. Really, really nice guy. They're all talented, full of piss and vinegar, quote unquote, and they're ready to take over the world.
We could use a little bit of that on the 11th, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Let's play one from AJ. AJ, you got to split, right? You got to.
Yeah, I got to take off.
Hey, man, thanks for coming in tonight. We appreciate it. You'll be back again. I'm sure we'll get you back up here at some point before April 11th as the show fills out a little bit more and we get a little closer. We'd love to have you back up again.
Absolutely.
Give it another shout out. And thanks again for all your hard work on banding together for BRET. Let's hear that one from the Boastfuls.
little piece that I could keep, but now you already know. I know you know you're the reason I gotta go.
Hi folks, this is Joe Burke, and you're listening to Music on the Menu with Alan K. Stout, on the river.
Chasing time like I've got some to waste. Writing rhymes thinking they'll fix my pace. Praying hard I put the great love on it. Great love on my road. Selling my confidence in childish ways. Timidly searching through the blue and the gray. But I get lost in what I am saying. Quarter past and I want some kind of peace with the solid street love. And our basic tries to believe that I'm fine and not so tall. There's no place
Joe Burke here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Gray. Before that, the Boastfuls with a song called Tequila. AJ Jump, who was with us for the first half of the show, had to split. He had to get to work, but he was hanging out with us for the first half hour or so of the show, talking about the banding together for BRET event coming up at the Woodlands on April 11th. And obviously, we have a lot of time to talk about it. The tickets for advance tickets will go on sale on February 1st through Eventbrite. But, you know, we talked about some of the reunions before on the top of the program. Underground Saints, Mere Mortals performing together for the first time. Grace's Downfall with the original lineup who had recorded with BRET at Saturation Acres. You know, they did some great recordings with BRET there. So if you're a Grace's fan, something to look forward to. Grace's Downfall, Don't Look Back. Grace's Downfall here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Don't Look Back, one of the bands that will be performing on April 11th at the Woodlands as part of the Banding Together for BRET fundraiser for Brett Alexander. We have a lot of time to talk about it, as I said, and, you know, throughout the next 2 months or so, maybe we'll bring some of the artists in here on the program that will be performing that night. I didn't get to play everybody on the show tonight that's on the bill because I just didn't have time, but there's more. I think AJ read the whole lineup off at the top of the program, so we have a great lineup of music, and we'll be playing all those artists here on the show again over the next couple months as we remind you about this wonderful musical event happening in April. I'll leave you now with something from Brett Alexander. This is probably the most famous song that he ever wrote. It was a national hit all over the country back in 1995. He reworked it with Nike Van Wyk for a live performance down in Jim Thorpe at the Manchunk Opera House a few years back. Put out a live album. Terrific version of Fear of Falling. We'll catch you next week.
Last night I dreamt of flying over hillsides in the snow. I dove down through the clouds to the valley there below. As the fields turned into parking lots, my freedom turned to dread. The ground rose up to greet me. I jumped up out of bed. Well, you can fly, fly, fly. Won't you anywhere you choose? You can try, 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 but eventually you lose. It seems there's always something trying to bring a good man down. I have no fear of falling, but I hate it in the ground. Come on. Searching through my soul, trying to find some extra change. I thought that I knew everything till everything changed. Standing on an island that is sinking into the sea. All that I can do is just enjoy the scenery. Well, you can fly, 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 or to anywhere you choose. You can try, 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 but eventually you lose. The sailman is sweet soft music just before he drowned. I have no fear of falling, but I hate in the ground. I have no fear of falling, but I hate in the ground. You and I have politics as lines that we don't cross. We live happily ever after inside this little box. You just can't take a lion and throw him into a cage and expect him to be thankful for the shelter that you gave. Well, you can fly, 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 walk to anywhere you choose. You can try, 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 but eventually you lose. a head in the ground. I have no fear of falling, but I hate